So, what are you doing since you guys have the Leprechaun franchise? What are you doing to both pay tribute to the older movies, but still create a new Leprechaun for this generation?
Yeah, this Leprechaun movie is completely different than the past franchise. I mean, they did what they were doing really well and kind of did the more comedic slant and stuff like this. This is a pure horror film, terrifying, disgusting. The ambition from the beginning was like, how can we take something like a Leprechaun, which people usually find really funny and like silly, but make it something that when it shows up, you jump out of your seat and you're screaming and like holding on to the person next to you. And that was kind of the way we approached it.
So will we still want to eat Lucky Charms?
I think when you do, you'll take a second look at them and be like, okay, I think I'm safe. It'll be all right.
Okay. You know, one thing I think would be real cool in terms of Leprechaun, like I would love to see like Leprechaun versus Chucky. So, like that. I think that would be insane. Like,
and the dwarves, the 7 dwarves.
It'd be crazy. How do you feel about like, you know, Leprechaun 2013 going forward, and also, you know, Chucky and his anniversary? I think it'd be cool if you guys sort of came together and did something. Is that something that you think could actually happen?
Well, in this one, we're giving it its totally new origin to where kind of this Leprechaun mythology came from, right? It was like, the film's called Leprechaun Origins, so it's like, how can we maybe bring back like where leprechauns came from, or where, you know, what's the creature that really spawned?
Can you tell us a little tease about it?
Not too much, other than the approach was, what maybe was the creature that 2,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago the Celtics, you know, found, and they started telling stories about this insane thing that, you know, terrified them, and, you know, nowadays we're meeting that creature again.
So they are from Ireland.
Cannot say
I knew it. They might not be. They're aliens that landed in Ireland.
Try to get it.
Yes.
Was there any Leprechaun stories or any pieces of Leprechaun lore that you found in your research for the project that you thought were really interesting that you had never heard of?
Yeah, we went back to a lot of the kind of original Celtic stuff and looking stuff that was in Gaelic and kind of bringing in a lot of that. It's very kind of in that modern, kind of Guillermo del Toro kind of modern fantasy kind of take, where it's like still modern day but has that kind of ancient kind of darkness to it. That was kind of a lot of the inspiration for it. So it was like,
it's more in a sense, as you know, that the original Leprechaun was just dominantly just little people, horror, so you actually hit more of the folklore, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, we also added our own folklore to it too, because you had to come up with the kind of the horror slant. Like, how can we do something that's going to be? How can you take what leprechauns are and make that terrifying? You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. Depending on the success of the new Leprechaun that you guys bring out, do you think that it could go into other forms of media, such as a video game? Because PlayStation 4 and Xbox One is coming. I'm excited about next generation, so I would love to see like Leprechaun and killing people on my controller.
Absolutely, and I know like Hornswoggle, like his whole dream is to be playable in a video game. You know what I mean? Like he's a huge gamer. He's not in any of the WWE games. He's in some of the older ones, but like he really wants to be, you know,
the center of attention.
He wants to be like, he had so much fun because he's always wanted to be a villain too, and like being able to just like
perfect.
Like he's, you know, that is everything he's wanted. So hopefully now he's really gonna be able to show people what he can do. And
so who are your inspirations? Because I'm kind of feeling Goonies a little bit.
Yeah, well, Goonies is probably the single film I've seen the most in my life, next to maybe Jurassic Park and Back to the Future. But in this, you know, this is much darker than that. It is definitely R-rated. So to me, my favorite kind of creature features are, you know, aliens and Jurassic Park and The Thing and stuff like that. But Guillermo del Toro, I think, has the kind of ancientness to it that we were going for. So that was really going back to Pan's Labyrinth and stuff like that.
In terms of the origins, like now, you know, this is the origin story. How did you guys go about the design and the look, you know, of the character, considering this going back?
It's totally like it is not like anything that it was like. How can we take like it was a lot of development, especially with like Hornswoggle's size, and figure out what he could do to be really scary and creepy. It took weeks and weeks of developing it. It took him over 2 hours a day just to get into it, and then another 2 hours after lunch because he had to take it off just to. But I mean, he was getting to the point where they're painting the inside of his eyelids.
Can you
like,
say who the people are?
Yeah.
Can you give names of the cast?
I don't think we can yet, but they're all local. I'm from Vancouver. We shot in Vancouver. They're all local Vancouver actors and stuff.
So does Vancouver really look like a mini New York City? Everyone goes and shoots there.
Yeah.
Is it like LA, New York? What's
Vancouver's pretty special because it has all sorts of different looks. It's got deserts and mountains and oceans and beaches, and it also has brick buildings for New York, but it also has really modern buildings for sci-fi stuff, like Continuum and stuff like that. So it's like has tons of different
And
looks.
you're from there, so you really know the ins and the outs?
Yeah, no, we shot it with a lot of people I grew up making movies with.
So wait, give your full name and your website. Can you do that?
Yeah, my name's Zach Lipovsky, and my website's zachlipovsky.com.
Now, what was it like to work with Hornswoggle?
I mean, Hornswoggle was awesome because he's spent so much time, enduring like fitness and all that stuff. I mean, this, he says himself, is totally different than anything he's ever had to do before because it's totally different kind. Like, you're in the ring for 5 minutes, here he's on set for 12 hours.
Yeah,
and it's
that's crazy.
we almost, he would come back and just be so exexhausted, but he would never say anything or complain, or he was
Wow,
always just
real star.
I had to be watching out because he would never tell me if he was in a lot of pain. Yeah.
And that it's R-rated, so it looks like we're going to be expecting a lot of blood, lust, and killing for this. And we get a hint on how bad we're going to see somebody.
Yeah.
The red shirts go.
There's gonna be stuff where you go like this, and you're
that's what I'm talking about.
you're gonna be like, I never wanted to see that, and definitely. I mean, that's where we had to go. Was how can we do stuff that? How can you make a leprechaun be so terrifying that he does stuff you don't even want to ever see?
Is it more worse than Saw?
It's not torture porn. It's not. The whole point
Torture porn, I like
isn't. It's not to just see people get tortured. It's much more suspense based. But when those kills happen, they happen. So.
But what is the actual movie about?
How many
I
blonde
can't
girls
say.
are in it? How many blonde
No,
girls?
like a synopsis. I mean, I understand you're going back in time
Yeah.
to come with the origin of leprechauns, but do you stay in that time period? Or do you come back into modern?
It's all
times?
modern day.
So how many blonde girls
wow,
are
so
is
modern
it is it like I Know What You Did Last Summer kind of freaking? That wants me
Okay, guys,
over.
that's it for today.
That's it.
Thank you.
You'll have to see.
That was it. Yo, thank you so much. Thank you so much.